Chapter 91, The Ending. The play was so amazing. I don't want to give away the ending, but it's the kind of ending that makes people in the audience teary. Mom totally lost it when Via, as Emily said, "Goodbye, goodbye world, goodbye Grover's Cormus, Mama and Papa, goodbye to clocks ticking and Mama's sunflowers and food and coffee and new iron dresses and hot baths and sleeping and waking up. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anybody to realize you." Via was actually crying while she was saying this, like real tears. I could see them rolling down her cheeks. It was totally awesome. After the curtain closed, everyone in the audience started clapping. Then the actors came out one by one. Via and Justin were the last ones out, and when they appeared, the whole audience rose to their feet. "Bravo!" I heard Dad yelling through his hands. "Why is everyone's getting up?" I said. "It's a standing ovation," said Mom, getting up. So I got up and clapped and clapped. I clapped until my hands hurt. For a second, I imagined how cool it would be to be Via and Justin right then, having all these people standing up and cheering for them. I think there should be a rule that everyone in the world should get a standing ovation at least once in their lives. Finally, after I don't know how many minutes, the line of actors on stage stepped back and the curtain closed in front of them. The clapping stopped and the lights went up and the audience started getting up to leave. Me and Mom and Dad made our way to the backstage. Crowds of people were congratulating the performers, surrounding them, patting them on the back. We saw Via and Justin at the center of the crowd, smiling at everyone, laughing and talking. "Via!" shouted Dad, waving as he made his way through the crowd. When he got close enough, he hugged her and lifted her off the floor a little. "You are amazing, sweetheart." "Oh my God, Via!" Mom was screaming with excitement. "Oh my God, oh my God." She was hugging Via so hard I thought Via would suffocate, but Via was laughing. "You were brilliant," said Dad. "Brilliant," Mom said, kind of nodding and shaking her head at the same time. "And you, Justin," said Dad, shaking Justin's hands and giving him a hug at the same time. "You were fantastic." "Fantastic," Mom repeated. She was honestly so emotional she could barely talk. "What a shock to see you up there, Via," said Dad. "Mom didn't even recognize you at first," I said. "I didn't recognize you," said Mom, her hand over her mouth. "Miranda got sick right before the show started," said Via, all out of breath. There wasn't even time to make an announcement. I have to say she looked kind of strange because she was wearing all this makeup. I've never seen her like this before. "And you just stepped in there right at the last minute," said Dad. "Wow, she was just amazing, wasn't she?" said Justin, his arm around Via. "There wasn't a dry eye in the house," said Dad. "Is Miranda okay?" I said, but no one heard me. At that moment, a man who I think was their teacher came over to Justin and Via, clapping his hands. "Bravo, bravo, Olivia and Justin." He kissed Via on both cheeks. "I flubber a couple of lines," said Via, shaking her head. "But you got through it," said the man, smiling ear to ear. "Mr. Davenport, these are my parents," said Via. "You must be so proud of your girl," he said, shaking their hands with both of his hands. "We are. And this is my little brother, August," said Via. He looked like he was about to say something, but suddenly froze when he looked at me. "Mr. D," said Justin, pulling him by the arm, "come meet my mom." Via was about to say something to me, but then someone else came over and started talking to her, and before I knew it, I was kind of alone in the crowd. I mean, I knew where Mom and Dad were, but there were so many people all around us, and people kept bumping into me, spinning me around a bit, giving me that 1-2 look, which made me feel kind of bad. I don't know if it was because I was feeling hot or something, but I kind of started getting dizzy. People faces were blurring in my head, and their voices were so loud it was almost hurting my ears. I tried to turn the volume down on my Bluetooth ears, but I got confused and turned them louder at first, which kind of shocked me. And then I looked up and I didn't see mom or dad or Via anywhere. Via, I yelled out. I started pushing through the crowd to find mom. Mommy, I really couldn't see anything but people's stomachs and tides all around me. Mommy's. Suddenly, someone picked me up from behind. Look who's here, said a familiar voice, hugging me tight. I thought it was Via at first, but when I turned around, I was completely surprised. Hey, Major Tom, she said. Miranda, I answered, and I gave her the tightest hug I could give.
Chapter 92 Camp Life. My parents got divorced the summer before ninth grade. My father was with someone else right away. In fact, though my mother never said so, I think this was the reason they got divorced. After the divorce, I hardly ever saw my father, and my mother acted stranger than ever. It's not that she was unstable or anything, just distant, remote. My mother is the kind of person who has a happy face for the rest of the world, but not a lot left over for me. She's never talked to me much, not about her feelings, her life. I don't know much about what she was like when she was my age. Don't know much about the things she liked or didn't like. The few times she mentioned her own parents, who I've never met, it was mostly about how she wanted to get as far away from them as she could once she grown up. She never told me why. I asked a few times, but she could pretend she hadn't heard me. I didn't want to go to camp that summer. I had wanted to stay with her to help her through the divorce, but she insisted I go away. I figured she wanted the alone time, so I gave it to her. Camp was awful. I hated it. I thought it could be better being a junior counselor, but it wasn't. No one I knew from the previous year had come back, so I didn't know anyone, not a single person. I'm not even sure why, but I started playing this little make-believe game with the girls in the camp. They ask me stuff about myself, and I make things up. My parents are in Europe, I told them. I live in a huge townhouse on the nicest street in North River Heights. I have a dog named Daisy. Then one day, I blurted out that I had a little brother who was deformed. I have absolutely no idea why I said this. It just seemed like an interesting thing to say. And of course, the reaction from the little girls in the bungalow was dramatic. Really? So sorry. That must be tough. Etc. etc. Regretted saying this moment. It escaped from my lips. Of course, I felt like such a fake. If you ever fell down, I thought she'd think I was such a weirdo, and I feel like a weirdo. But I had to admit, there was a part of me that felt that felt a little entitled to this lie. I've known Augie since I was 6 years old. I've watched him grow up. I've played with him. I've watched all 6 episodes of Star Wars for his sake, so I could talk to him about the aliens and the bounty hunters and all that. I'm the one that gave him the astronaut helmet he couldn't take off for 2 years. I mean, I've kind of earned the right to think of him as my brother. And the strangest thing is that this lie I told, these fictions, did wonders for my popularity. The other junior counselors heard it from the campers, and they were all over it. Never in my life have I ever been considered one of the popular girls in anything, but the summer in camp, For whatever reason, I was the girl everyone wanted to hang out with. Even the girls in bungalow 32 were totally into me. These were the girls at the top of the food chain. They said they liked my hair, though they changed it. They said they liked the way I did my makeup, though they changed that too. They showed me how to turn my t-shirts into halter tops. We smoked, we snuck out late at night, and took the pig through the goose to boys' camps. We hung out with boys. Then I got home from the camp. I called Ella right away to make plans with her. I don't know why I didn't call Veer. I guess I just didn't feel like talking about stuff with her. She could have asked me about my parents, about Kim. Ella never really asked me about things. She was an easier friend to have in that way. She wasn't serious like Veer. She was fun. She thought it was cool when I dyed my hair pink. She wanted to hear all about those sheep through the goose late at night.
Chapter 93 School. I hardly saw Via at school this year, and when I did, it was awkward. It felt like she was judging me. I knew she didn't like my new look. I knew she didn't like my group of friends. I didn't much like hers. We never actually argued. We just drifted away. Ella and I badmouthed her to each other. She's such a brute. She's so this. She's so that. We knew we were being mean, but it was easier to ice her out if we pretended she had done something to us. The truth is, she hadn't changed at all. We had. We've become these other people, and she was still the person she has always been. That annoyed me so much, and I didn't know why. One is the why I looked to see where she was sitting in the lunchroom or checked the elective list to see what she signed up for. But except for a few nods in the hallway and an occasional hello, we never really spoke to each other. I noticed Justin about halfway through the school year. I hadn't noticed him at all before then, other than he wore this skinny cutie dude with thick glasses and longish hair who carried a violin everywhere. Then one day I saw him in front of the school with Maravia. So Veer has a boyfriend, I said to Ella, kind of mocking. I don't know why it surprised me that she had a boyfriend. Out of the three birds, she was totally the prettiest, blue eyes and long wavy dark hair. But she had never acted like she was at all interested in boys. She acted like she was too smart for that kind of stuff. I had a boyfriend too, a guy named Zach. When I told him I was choosing the theater elective, he shook his head and said, "Careful you don't turn into a drama chick." Not the most sympathetic dude in the world, but very cute. Very high up on the totem pole, over a varsity job. I wasn't planning on taking theater at first. Then I saw Via names on the sign-up sheet and just wrote my name down on the list. I don't even know why. We managed to avoid one another throughout most of the semester, like we didn't even know each other. Then one day I got to the theater class a little early, and Davenport asked me to run up additional copies of the play he was planning on having us to do for the spring production, The Elephant Man. I'd heard about it, but I didn't really know what it was about, so I started skimming through the pages while I was waiting for the Xerox machine. It was about a man who lived more than 100 years ago named John Merrick, who was terribly deformed. "We can do this play immediately," I told him when I got back to class, and I told him why. My little brother had a pretty fake hand, has a deformed face, and this play would hit he too close to home. He seemed annoyed and a little unsympathetic, but I kind of said that my parents would have the real issue with the school doing this play. So anyway, he ended up switching to our town. I think I went for the role of Emily Gibbs because I knew Via was going to go for it too. It never occurred to me that I'd beat her for the role.
Chapter 94 What I Miss Most. One of the things I miss most about Via's friendships is her family. I love her mom and dad. They were always so welcoming and nice to me. I knew they loved their kids more than anything. I always feel safe around them. safer than anywhere else in the world. How pathetic that I felt safer in someone else's house than in my own, right? And of course, I love Augie. I was never afraid of him, even when I was little. I had friends that couldn't believe I'd ever go to Via's house. His face creeps me out, they say. You're stupid, I tell them. Augie's face isn't so bad once you get used to it. I call Via Swan just to say hello to Augie. Maybe part of me was hoping Via would answer. I don't know. Hey, Major Tom, I said, using my nickname for him, Miranda. He sounds so happy to hear my voice, which it actually kind of took me by surprise. I'm going to a regular school now, he told me excitedly. Really? Wow, I said, totally shocked. I guess I never thought he'd go to a regular school. His parents have always been so protective over him. I guess I thought he'd always be that little kid in the astronaut helmet I gave him. Talking to him, I could tell he had no idea that Via and I weren't close anymore. It's different in high school, I explained to him. You end up hanging out with lots of different people. I have some friends in my new school, he told me. A kid named Jack and a girl named Summer. That's awesome, Augie, I said. Well, I was just calling to tell you I miss you, and I hope you're having a good year. Feel free to call me whenever you want, okay? You know I love you always. I love you too, Miranda. Say hi to Via for me. Tell her I miss her. I will. Bye. Bye.
Chapter 95. Extraordinary but no one there to see. Neither my mother nor my father could come see the play on opening night. My mother because she had this thing at work, and my dad because his new wife was going to have her baby and is second now, and he had to be on call. Jack couldn't come to opening night either. He had a volleyball game against the collegiate he couldn't miss. In fact, he had wanted me to miss the opening night so I could come cheer him on. My friends all went to the game, of course, because only boyfriends were playing. Even Ella didn't come. Given a choice, he chose the crowd. So on opening night, no one that was remotely close to me was even there. And the thing is, I realized in my third or fourth rehearsal that I was good at this acting thing. I felt the part. I understood the words I spoke. I could read the lines as if they were coming from my brain and my heart. And on opening night, I can honestly say I knew I was going to be more than good. I was going to be great. I was going to be extraordinary. But there would be no one there to see. We were on backstage, nervously running through our lines in our heads. I picked through the certain other people taking their seats in the auditorium. That's when I saw Augie walking down the aisles with Isabel and Nate. They took 3 seats in the 5th row, near the middle. Augie was wearing a bow tie, looking around excitedly. He had grown up a bit since I last saw him, almost a year ago. His hair was shorter and he was wearing some kind of hearing aid now. His face hadn't changed a bit. Davenport was running through some last-minute changes with the set decorator. I saw Justine pacing off stage left, mumbling his lines nervously. Mr. Davenport, I said, surprising myself as I spoke. I'm sorry, but I can't go on tonight. Davenport turned around slowly. What? He said. I'm sorry. Are you kidding? I muttered, looking down. I don't feel well, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going to throw up. This was a line. It's just last minute detour. No, I can't do it. I'm telling you. Davenport looked furious. Miranda, this is outrageous. I'm sorry. Davenport took a deep breath, like he was trying to restrain himself. To be truthful, I thought he looked like he was going to explode. His forehead turned bright pink. Miranda, this is absolutely unacceptable. Now go take a few deep breaths and I'm not going on, I said loudly, and the tears came to my eyes fairly easily. "Fine," he screamed, not looking at me. Then he turned to a kid named David, who was a set decorator. "Go find Olivia in the lighting booth. Tell her she is filling in for Miranda tonight." "What?" said David, who wasn't too swift. "Go," shouted Davenport in his face. Now, the other kids had caught on to what was happening and gathered around. "What's going on?" said Justine. "Last minute change of plans," said Davenport. "Miranda doesn't feel well." "I feel sick," I said, trying to sound sick. "So why are you still here?" Davenport said to me angrily, "Stop talking. Take off your costume and give it to Olivia, okay? Come on, everybody, let's go. I ran backstage to the dressing room as quickly as I could and started peeling off my costume. 2 seconds later, there was a knock, and Via half opened the door. "What's it going on?" she said. "Hurry up, put it on," I answered, handing her dress. "You're sick." "Yeah, hurry up." Via, looking stern, took off her t-shirt and jeans and pulled the long dress over her head. I pulled it down for her, and then zipped up the back. Luckily, Emily's web didn't go on until 10 minutes into the play, so the girl handling hair and makeup had time to put Via's hair up in a twist and do a quick makeup job. I would never seen Via with a lot of makeup on. She looked like a model. "I'm not even sure I will remember my lines," Via said, looking at herself in the mirror. "Your lines." "You'll do great," I said. She looked at me in the mirror. "Why are you doing this, Miranda?" "Olivia," it was Davenport, had shouting from the door. "You are on in 2 minutes. It's now or never." Via followed him out the door, so I never got the chance to answer her question. I don't know what I would have said anyway. I wasn't sure what the answer was.
Chapter 96. The performance. I watched the rest of the play from the wings just off stage, next to Davenport. Justine was amazing, and Via, in that heartbreaking last scene, was awesome. There was one line she flopped a bit, but Justine covered for her, and no one in the audience even noticed. I heard Davenport muttering under his breath, Good. He was more nervous than all of the students put together, the actors, the set decorators, the lighting team, the guy handling the curtains. Davenport was a wreck, frankly. The only time I felt any regret, if you could even call it that, was at the end of the play when everyone went out for their curtain calls. Via and Justine were the last of the actors working out on stage, and the audience rose their feet when they took their bows. That, I admit, was a little bittersweet for me, but just a few minutes later I saw Ned and Isabel and Augie make their way backstage, and they all seemed so happy. Everyone was congratulating the actors, patting them on the back. It was that crazy backstage theater mayhem where squiddy actors stand euphoric while people come worship them for a few seconds. In that crush of people, I noticed Augie looking kind of lost. I cut through the crowd as fast as I could and came up behind him. "Hey," I said, "Major Tom."
Chapter 97. After the show. I can't say why I was so happy to see August again after so long, or how good it felt when he hugged me. "I can't believe how big you've gotten," I said to him. "I thought you were going to be in the play," he said. "I wasn't up to it," I said, "but Via was great, don't you think?" He nodded. 2 seconds later, Isabel found us. "Miranda," she said happily, giving me a kiss on the cheek. And then to August, "Don't ever disappear like that again. You're the one who disappeared." Augie answered back. "How are you feeling?" Isabel said to me. Via told us you got sick. Much better, I answered. Is your mom here? Said Isabel. No, she had work stuff. So it's actually not a big deal for me, I said truthfully. We have 2 more shows anyway, though I don't think I'd be as good an Emily as Via was tonight. Nate came over and we had basically the same exact conversation. Then Isabel said, Look, we are going to have a late night dinner to celebrate the show. Are you feeling up to joining us? We'd love to have you. Oh no, I started to say. Please, said Augie. I should go home, I said. We insist, said Nate. By now Via and Justin had come over with Justin's mom, and Via put her arm around me. You're definitely coming, she said, smiling her old smile at me. They started leading me out of the crowd, and I have to admit, for the first time in a very, very long time, I felt absolutely happy.
Chapter 98. The Fifth Grade Nature Retreat. Every year in spring, the fifth graders of Richard Prep go away for 3 days and 2 nights to a place called the Broadwood Nature Reserve in Pennsylvania. It's a 4-hour bus ride away. The kids live in cabins with bunk beds. There are campfires, s'mores, and long walks to the woods. The teachers have been prepping us about this all year long, so all the kids in the grade are excited about it, except for me. And it's not even that I'm not excited, because I kind of am. It's just I have never ever slept away from home before, and I'm kind of nervous. Most kids have had sleepovers by the time they're my age. A lot of kids have gone sleepaway camps or stay with their grandparents or whatever. Not me, not unless you include hospital stays, but even then, Mom or Dad always stayed with me overnight. But I never slept over at Tata or Papa's house, or Aunt Kate or Uncle Paul's house. When I was really little, that was my many because there was too many medical. Chapter 98. The Fifth Grade Nature Retreat. Every year in spring, the fifth graders of Richard Prep go away for 3 days and 2 nights to a place called Broadwood Nature Reserve in Pennsylvania. It's a 4-hour bus ride away. The kids live in cabins with bunk beds. There are campfires and small and long walks to the woods. The teachers have been prepping us for this all year long, so all the kids in the grade are excited about it, except for me. And it's not even that I'm not excited, because I kind of am. It's just I never slept away from home before, and I'm kind of nervous. Most kids have had sleepovers by the time they're my age. Other kids have gone to sleepaway camps or stayed with their grandparents or whatever. Not me, not unless you include hospital stays. But even then, Mom or Dad always stayed with me overnight. But I never slept over at Tata or Papa's house or Aunt Kate or Uncle Paul's house. When I was very little, that was mainly because there were too many medical issues, like my tattoo need to be cleared every hour, or reinserting my feeding tube if I got detached. But when I got bigger, I just never felt like sleeping anywhere else. There was one time when I half slept over Christopher's house. We were about 8 and we were still best friends. Our family had gone for a visit to his house, and me and Christopher were having such a great time playing Lego Star Wars that I didn't have want to leave. When it was time to go, we were like, please, can we have a sleepover? So our parents said yes, and Mom and Dad and
Pia drove home, and me and Christopher stayed up until midnight playing, until Lisa, his mom, said, "Okay guys, time to go to bed." Well, that's when I kind of panicked a bit. Lisa tried to help me to go to sleep, but I just started crying that I wanted to go home. So at 1 a.m., Lisa called my mom and Dad drove all the way back out to Bridgeport to pick me up. We didn't get home until 3 a.m., so my one and only sleepover up until now was pretty much of a disaster, which is why I'm a little nervous about the nature retreat. On the other hand, I'm really excited.
Chapter 99, Known For. I asked Mom to buy me a new rolling duffel bag because my old one had Star Wars stuff on it, and there was no way I was going to take that to the 5th grade natural retreat. As much as I love Star Wars, I don't want that to be what I'm known for. Everyone's known for something in middle schools. Like Red is known for really being into marine life and the oceans and things like that. And Amos is known for being a really good baseball player. And Charlotte is known for having been in the TV commercial when she was 6. And Samantha is known for being really smart. My point is that in middle school, you kind of get known for what you're into, and you have to be careful about stuff like that. Like Max G and Max W would never live down their Dungeons and Dragons obsession. So I was actually trying to ease out of the whole Star Wars thing a bit. I mean, it'll always be special to me like it is with the doctor who put in my hearing aids. It's just not the thing I wanted to be known for in middle school. I'm not sure what I want to be known for, but it's not that. That's not exactly true. I do know what I'm really known for, but there's nothing I can do about that. It's Star Wars duffel bag I could do something about.